I received an email today from a franchise owner. I won't mention who or from what city. That I guess it wasn't surprising, but it was frustrating enough to want to share it with you. So let me read the email to you. Hello. I was scheduled for my first session tomorrow and have been looking forward to it all week, but I no longer think starting strength is the right fit for me. I followed y'all on Instagram and saw this quote on the wall on a recent post. Strong people are harder to kill than weak people and more useful in general. I've been chronically ill for many years. During that time, I've had many swings between being couchbound and feeling strong. When I first became ill, I spent almost 4 years figuring out how to manage my illness and was unable to exercise during that time. When I experience lows in my health, I feel like I'm useless. It has taken me many years to realize that my worth is not dependent upon my physical strength, and even now I find myself going back to that place. Listen closely to a few keywords in this next paragraph. I understand the intention behind that quote is not to hurt people like me, but words matter. During the pandemic, my health began to decline significantly, but I discovered lifting weights was something I could do without triggering my other symptoms. I plan to join Starting Strength so I could find community and get stronger, but that quote has made it clear that it is not a safe place. It is not a safe place for me to lift. I feel discouraged enough by the situation that I don't really feel comfortable coming in for the sessions that I booked, so if you could cancel and refund me, I'd really appreciate it. We are not for everyone. No business is, no business can be. If you attempt to be everything to everyone, you will be very little to very few. So we know exactly who our audience is, and our audience are people that get fired up and motivated by the quote, strong people are harder to kill. It's our best-selling t-shirt. I knew this quote would be a problem. I spent most of my life growing up in California. I saw the cultural tide shift throughout my teens, my 20s, and now my 30s as people became more sensitive and others wanted to control the way people around them spoke and behaved in ways that had never been done before in this country. So I'm aware of this cultural phenomenon that's happening, and I'm not making this video to mock this person. I have empathy for this person. I feel bad that this lady is going through some sort of illness and feels terrible. And I feel especially bad that this lady has been sucked in to this nonsense cultural trend of telling people what matters, telling people what you think should matter to them, and telling people using words like safe space and using words like triggered. This person has a mind virus. This person is part of a cultural degradation that is weakening this country. This person is easy to offend. This person is highly sensitized. So I feel bad that this person has to go through that. And at the moment, I'm in pretty good health and I'm relatively strong, but it hasn't always been this way. So when I read this message, it struck me that this person needs some, I guess, perspective. So let me provide some perspective as a personal story. And the caveat before I start the story is my situation isn't that bad, and it wasn't that bad. It was terrible for me. But many, many, many people have it much, much worse. Many of those people train in our gyms or do the Starting Strength program on their own. So for me, I was diagnosed with Crohn's disease when I was 19 years old. I spent my teens in pain, depressed, and dealing with daily stomach pain and nausea so bad that the majority of the time I'd rather not eat than deal with the discomfort and the constant physical distress involved with eating. And so I became very thin and I became very weak. And in my 20s, I weighed as low as 168 pounds. If you know anyone with an autoimmune disease, if you know anyone with Crohn's, you know that it is an awful situation. It colors every interaction you have with other people. It colors nearly every moment of your life. You feel it when you wake up. You feel it before you're going to bed. The worst nausea you've had in your life is something that people with this type of disease deal with on a regular basis. The worst stomach pain in your life is something that people with this disease deal with on a regular basis. And I was young. I didn't have great role models. I didn't have intense mental fortitude. I was just starting my career in the wireless industry. I worked at Verizon, and I'd gone from a customer service rep making $11 an hour in a store to making $90,000 a year at the corporate office in something like 18 months. I'd finally found something that I could put my time and effort into that would make me feel good and give me the lifestyle that I wanted. So it was extremely motivating. When I got the news about Crohn's, it was crushing, and it felt like I was permanently damaged, and I would suffer for the rest of my life. That's what it felt like. I wasn't aware of any treatment options that worked. I signed up for an experimental clinical trial. I was desperate for some sort of solution. I was tempted to quit my job in corporate because it was extremely stressful. Even though I know I wanted to achieve great things in life and live a fantastic lifestyle and become an entrepreneur once I had enough money to save up to start a company. And I almost took a job as a termite inspector and a termite treatment provider, which would have been fine. The money was good and the lifestyle was relaxed and the stress was low. So that seemed to be the best option for me. But I'm just not wired that way. I just, for whether it's good or bad, I always want more. I always want to strive for more. I always want to become a better version of myself tomorrow than I am today. And so I decided, I'm not going to listen to my doctor's advice. My doctor suggested that I eat only highly processed food, things like McDonald's. He actually said McDonald's, so that my gut was not perturbed by the roughage involved with eating leafy greens and things like that. I didn't follow his advice. I got my stress under control, started doing things like meditation, improved my sleep, improved my diet, and changed my lifestyle from top to bottom. I struggled with Crohn's throughout my 20s, and I got as low as 168 pounds at 6'2". And I was weak and I was sick, and I had every excuse in the world I had every reason in the world to make excuses for myself. So the first message I want to send is, don't do that. Don't let that be you. Whether you're young, and this gal, based on her email address, was born in 1990, so she's in her early 30s. She's too old to be this sensitive. She should be more mature than making these types of excuses for herself. And I'm not mad at this woman. I don't wish her harm. I'm not frustrated by her. I'm frustrated and angry with the culture that she sits within. You can tell by the words that she uses: triggered, safe space, blank matters, telling other people what matters to them. This is all part of a cultural phenomenon that she's been sucked into. And so the reason I'm making this video is to send a positive message. It's if you are in a situation where you're feeling sorry for yourself and you are weak mentally and you are weak physically, do something hard, do something difficult that's going to improve your situation. Starting strength works for the vast majority of people, the vast majority of the time, and it would probably drastically improve this woman's outlook on life, but she cannot get out of her own way. So the words of John Hahn, one of my friends who's the owner of Starting Strength Memphis, come to mind, and I'm sure these aren't his words, but he spoke them to me first, and they've always stuck in my head. Those are, I want to be difficult to offend. I want to be difficult to offend. So imagine what our culture would be like today if people were much harder to offend. And this is a mental strength thing, and mental strength and physical strength are closely intertwined, as you well know. I'm also making this message to send a positive point of view to people that are part of this culture. So maybe you live in California like I did. Maybe you live in Seattle. Maybe you live in Portland. And you're looking around at people that are making excuses for themselves, that are easy to offend, that want to tell other people what to do and how they should feel and how they should think. And they want to make excuses for themselves, and they can't get out of their own way. If that's you and you feel yourself being sucked into that culture, doing something like Starting Strength or anything else in life, martial arts or achievement in business that's difficult, that will strengthen you mentally and potentially strengthen you physically, those are endeavors worth pursuing, because we have a massive cultural problem on our hands. The fabric of America is being weakened. Our culture is degrading. And it's this phenomenon that's spreading through the minds of people all over the country and making them feel sorry for themselves and preventing them from getting out of their own way. And the pop culture, giving them credit and attention and allowing them to make these excuses for themselves, that's part of the problem. So I also want to say that we are unapologetic about our position on this. Strong people are harder to kill. and they are more useful in general. Um, and that's just a fact. And if the fact offends you, unfortunately, that's your problem and not our problem. And we are not going to attempt to be everything to everyone. And we are not going to attempt to tiptoe around people's sensitivities. We'll do our best in the gym to understand where people are at psychologically and help adjust our coaching to make sure we can get the most out of them that day and help them make progress long term. But we're going to say very direct things to you in the gym. We're going to coach you, we're going to be loud, and we're going to be straightforward in a way that may be quite surprising to you. And that's a good thing because we all need to be less sensitive. We sensitivity is important in many ways, having empathy for others, trying to feel how other people are feeling. There certainly is validity to that. But in the way that things are happening now and everyone is so hypersensitive and so easy to offend, this is not who we are at Starting Strength. This is not how we operate. If you are one of these people and it's an ideological thing for you and you're unwilling to change, we are not for you. If you are one of these people and you see the merits in potentially hardening up, as they'd say in Australia, I won't finish the rest of that quote, but if that is you, then doing something like Starting Strength will benefit you. And to this lady, if you're watching this video, again, I mean no malice. I'm not angry with you. I just think you've been sucked into a point of view that is damaging to you personally on a psychological and a physical level, which means it'll be damaging to the people that depend on you, that you interact with every day at work and at home, which means it's going to damage society. So I hope you and people like you understand that feeling sorry for yourself, making excuses for yourself. When we have veterans in our gyms that are missing limbs and still push through to become better versions of themselves, this is not acceptable behavior. Not to us. And again, I'm not telling you what to do. You can do whatever you want to do. That's the beauty of America. But what I am saying is, we have a particular point of view. We have a particular culture. And you cannot come into one of our gyms and be successful if you have this weak feeling sorry for yourself mindset. But on the other hand, if you are motivated by the quote, strong people are harder to kill, and you want to put in the hard work and you want to become a better version of yourself, there is no better place to go than a Starting Strength gym. Thank you.